Hey guys, I hope you're having a really good day today. Welcome to the first episode of Motivational Monday, where we take a quote and discuss the history and how it applies to us in everyday life. Before I get started, I just wanted to say if you didn't get a chance to check out the first episode of Financial Friday, I highly recommend it because we started reading Dave Ramsey's book on Complete Guide to Money, and we're going to continue reading through that book the next few weeks. So you definitely don't want to get left behind. Go check it out if you haven't, and let me know what you think. If you did already check it out, let me know what you thought about it on my YouTube channel or Instagram account. You can check out both of these accounts by searching Reach the Stars in the search engine. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this one. With that little bit aside, let's get started with our first episode of Motivational Monday. I'm actually really excited to look at this week's quote because I think a lot of us can probably get something out of it. This week's quote is from Thomas Edison, and he said, "Many of life's failures are people who didn't realize how close they were to success when they gave up." In case you didn't catch that the first time I said it, let me just say it again. Many of life's failures are people who didn't realize how close they were to success when they gave up. And I absolutely love this quote because I think this is a problem that faces a lot of people nowadays, from school students to entrepreneurs, social media influencers, and literally any person that comes across a creative idea. So many people now measure their success from the numbers that are produced and not the entertainment value they receive from it. They see that their YouTube channel isn't growing, so they quit. Their business isn't popping off like they thought it would, so they close down. Their artwork isn't selling as fast as they wanted, so they don't paint anymore. Yet, if they had just kept up for 1 week longer, their next video would have gone viral. Their business would have skyrocketed. That one piece of artwork would have been bought by a local museum. So many people quit so early and don't give their creativity time to be out in society. They do this because they're so focused on the minute numbers. They aren't focused on how much they enjoy creating their content. They don't focus on the value they're putting out into the world. We just have to stop focusing on what others think about us. It just doesn't do us any good. Actually, a good friend of mine is trying to join the military. They actually got cleared for the process medically and they're good to go, but they've gotten some pushback from the people around them. And what I told them, and what we have to understand about life, is that decisions like this are completely up to us as individuals. None of the people that are giving this particular person pushback understands their circumstances. They only see what's on the outside and how they react to different situations. And so think about what's good for you next time you need to make a decision, not on what the opinion of those close to you are. When it comes back to the quote we have today, we have to ask ourselves, how did a man as successful as Thomas Edison even come up with this quote? Certainly a genius like him wouldn't have that many failures. Like, he has so many great inventions that set up our future. And really, that's not the case at all when it comes to his failures. He has just as many failures as well. I'm sure a lot of you may have heard about some of them, but if you haven't, I'm just going to give you some context. The man himself, in an interview with a reporter following the invention of the light bulb, he said that he didn't fail 1,000 times, but the light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. And this is probably not an exaggeration. I'm sure it did take close to one, if not 1,000 times to perfect his invention. And even the perfected successful light bulb didn't last that long. But he had so many inventions that failed tremendously. And I think some of them were pretty interesting actually. So I compiled a couple of my favorites and took some notes. The first one I want to look at was this electric pen he made. He invented this in the 1800s as the railroads were expanding because the administrative workers wanted new tools to make their work easier. The pen wasn't really a pen though. It was basically just something that punched holes into the paper so they could make print. And they didn't actually use like real paper, they used wax paper. And if you think about it, it was like a needle that would go up and down into the paper. But the problem was it was heavy, it was noisy, and it required a dangerous battery with chemicals that just weren't good to be inhaled. So he fixed the problems that he could, but the need wasn't large enough to be very successful. So he sold his patent and moved to the next invention. But what I really like about this invention actually is that it led to the modern day tattoo guns. So in a way, Thomas Edison is like the OG inventor of modern tattoos. So we have him to thank for that as well. The next invention that I thought was pretty cool was a subscription record player service he had started after inventing the phonograph, which is basically just a older version of the record player. And honestly, I didn't even know they had thought of subscription services back in the day. Like, I didn't even think that was something that was being created yet. But apparently, Thomas Edison had one. And basically, how it worked is he would send people about 20 of his records as a sample, and then they would pick a couple they wanted and then send them back to him. And I think this is super neat because it was like an early Netflix or Redbox. So basically, instead of Netflix and chill, it was like phonograph and chill. But it probably didn't work very well because if you've ever seen a phonograph, they have to like crank it with one hand in order to listen. And that would probably be a pretty awkward chilling out moment if you ask me. But other than that, like Thomas Edison is super interesting to read about because there's so many weird inventions that just set him completely apart from his competitors. And he has a lot of successes and failures, and it really plays into his quote that he actually said, which we are using today. Let me just repeat it for you. It's many of life's failures are people who didn't realize how close they were to success when they gave up. And for me personally, this quote hits pretty close to home because it helps me realize there are a lot of times that I will just stop doing something because I don't see immediate results. And I think we can all learn from this quote. Um, but how can we use this quote to help us in the future? And honestly, I think it's really easy. The next time you're about to give up, you're thinking about giving up, just think of the light bulb. Like, just literally picture it. And remember, it took Thomas Edison over 1,000 attempts to get the successful light bulb. And even then, it wasn't perfected. Like, he had still had a long way to go before he reached a light bulb that could be used in an industrial life setting. And so you can always improve yourself in the things you're going for. Never for a second think that you aren't capable of your dreams and your goals because you are 100% capable of achieving whatever your goals are. You just need to visualize it in your head, visualize the end, the success, the gratification, and understand that the process is just the journey. If you listened to the Financial Friday segment last week, you might remember what Dave Ramsey said about the elephant when he said that you can't eat an elephant in one bite, but you can work through small bits at a time. And this works in any situation. You can't take a 10-page essay and cram it all in a 1 hour session. That's just not going to work. It's not going to be good. It's not going to get a good grade. But if you take that 10-page essay and do a page a day, then you'll be done way before your deadline and you'll have a nice essay written out, well thought, and it's a lot better when you take the situations and you work through it just one bit at a time and actually write out how you're going to accomplish it rather than trying to tackle it all head on. And so just take your time to accomplish your goals and you will end up completing them in the long run. The biggest gift we have is our time. If it wasn't for our time, we wouldn't have anything. We wouldn't have life. Time is of the essence. And actually, I remember in my history class, this kind of reminds me. My teacher, he was talking about the perspective of time, and how when we're a year old, a year is our whole life. But when you're 80 years old, a year is an 80th of your life. It goes by so much faster as you get older. So remember to use your time effectively, because it's not getting any slower. You're not slowing down. In fact, like as you get older, the time is just going to seem to go by faster. So use it accordingly. Don't waste your time giving up early on the goals that were only seconds away from being accomplished. I know the next time I'm in a situation where I want to give up, I'm going to try and remember Edison's quote to the best of my ability, because I think it is so great. Many of life's failures are people who didn't realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Like the quote, it just says it all. People who just give up when they were so close to actually succeeding. And I think there's just a lot we can take away from that. So I hope you liked this first episode of Motivational Monday. If you did, consider liking, subscribing, following, whatever you can from whatever platform you're listening on. I would really appreciate it. Make sure to tune in on Friday for the second episode of Financial Friday. It's going to be about budgeting and how to do it in a relationship versus not in a relationship. So basically, it's going to take perspectives of the single person and how they should work about their budgeting. And then it's going to take it from a marriage or relationship standpoint and how you should really work with your spouse or significant other to accomplish a budget that works for the both of you. And I think it's going to be a really good episode to listen to. It'll probably be about the same length as the last episode, so just be ready to have a pretty good amount of information thrown at you. But you can always go back and listen to some of the key parts again. Let me know if you want me to cut out like the key segments of the episode, and I can actually make like shorter segments and post those as well. Just let me know on my YouTube channel, my Instagram. And if you like these shorter episodes, then make sure to tune in every Monday for Motivational Monday. Thank you for listening, and have a blessed rest of your week. Peace out, guys.